Let's talk about Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave, the highly anticipated follow-up to Fire Emblem Three Houses that's looking spectacular on the Nintendo Switch 2. The most recent Nintendo Direct gave us a fresh trailer and look at the game in addition to a release date for this September. So I wanted to break down some of the new information that the official Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave or Fire Emblem Twitter account is dropping, because we've got new info on the characters, plus a look at gameplay, some cool remixes of classic tracks, and a nice translation here from our friends over there at Serene's Forest, doing a great job. So let's go ahead and get into that. But before we continue, we are giving away a Nintendo Switch 2 at 140,000 subscribers, or on September 1st, whichever comes first. Subscribe, like, comment. The winner will be chosen at random, and it's a worldwide giveaway. Thanks, peeps. Let's start off with a character that I think that I might pick first, and her name is Leda. She is a highly skilled Theodora player who performs enchanting music. Following a certain incident 5 years ago, she started walking a path of vengeance and hatred. She does like memories of her parents, performing music from her homeland, jewels, and applause. And right here, there's a combat clip of her. By the way, I just gotta say something real quick, guys, and I know I've said this before, but man, the upgrade when it comes to Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave and the fidelity of the game, the no little pausing from the overview of the map to the characters actually doing combat is spectacular. There used to be a little hitch on the Nintendo Switch 1 every time that happened in Engage and Fire Emblem Three Houses. That is gone, and the characters look better than ever with a lot of detail in the background. So the Nintendo Switch 2 definitely being put to use here. So it also says this: during battle, she can switch between swords and close combat or bows for ranged combat. She can also play the Theodora to buff allies. So I'm really liking what I'm seeing here from Leda. She looks super cool. I just like her. She just reminds me of some of the cool characters in the past games, kind of all put together. I like her class. I like her outfit. I think that she has a lot of great skill, and I'm potentially thinking about picking her first. I mean, I don't know if I want to play every single character in route, just because that takes so much time. So who you pick first is definitely going to be important. You know, I kind of learned my lesson with Fire Emblem Three Houses and all of that, and picking Edelgard. I know some of you guys love Edelgard's route. I do not love Edelgard's route when it comes to what happens with hers. So I definitely have to make sure that I make a better decision this time around. Now we are going to move on to the next character here, another character which I'm thinking about, but Edelgard's got me thinking maybe I should not pick this route. And that is Theodora. She is the young queen of the kingdom of Samaris, which serves the Dagdan Empire. She possesses an unwavering resolve to face any obstacle and has the qualities of a queen who guides her people. What she likes: fighting and the well-being of her people. Now in this combat clip, we've got some more content here for you guys. New combat clip straight from, once again, the Fire Emblem official Twitter account. And it says, during battle, she can strike down foes with Mahadu's spear, once wielded by a legendary hero. In addition, she can use the Gambit command to trigger an area of effect attacks or healing with the help of her battalions. So the thing about this that you can clearly see if you've played Fire Emblem Three Houses, that this is very much in the same line with some of the stuff here, some of the weapons, the graphics, the visuals, and even the battalions. This is going to follow up on the combat system that we saw in Fire Emblem Three Houses, which in my opinion, at least, they can take a lot of the issues with that, some of the unbalance that we saw, and hopefully balance that out for this one. That's what I'm hoping they do, because you can get kind of broken in that game, and I know some people like to do that in their games, but for me at least, I want to see what they do when they completely balance out that battle system and they just really kind of hone in on what makes the Fire Emblem gameplay great. And I think that's what we're seeing here with this early combat footage and some of the stuff in the game. And once again, the Nintendo Switch 2 is able to render all these characters. The battalions look so much better and everything. And even the maps, like I said, when it zooms in from the overhead view of it, it's really smooth, love to see here. Extra detail in the backgrounds and everything. Fire Emblem Three Houses definitely stressed, have the Nintendo Switch 1 sweating when it comes down to it. So this is a lot better to see how smooth everything is so far. Okay, let's continue on here. We've got another main character that we're going to talk about, and that's Dietrich. And he's an elegant swordsman who's always seeking to fight powerful opponents to satisfy his thirst. A foreigner who travels across the seas from the land of Fodlan. Yo, let's go, Fodlan. We out here. Fire Emblem Three Houses. Fodlan wins. We got to have the remix of the music, of course, man. This is phenomenal to see that. And I love the connection. Obviously, it's been quite some time since Fire Emblem Three Houses, but I like that it is a direct, you know, in collaboration follow-up, either sequel or it's a prequel or it's something. I mean, we know what's going on here with this one. All right, let's talk a little bit more about Dietrich and his combat here. So Dietrich's weapon is the demonic blade answerer, known as a hero's relic. And yes, it's definitely a hero's relic. We've seen this sword before. Oh my goodness, this is fantastic. I love it. I love everything so far. During battle, he can use the bloodletting combat art, which has a higher chance of landing critical hits, 3 times the damage when you hit him with the critical. And yeah, this one, I almost thought like, man, I want to play this guy. This guy is like Timu, Alucard, and Sephiroth combined, it seems. It seems like they've combined the powers of these two, put these two, they fuse together, and you get this guy right here. I'm loving the black outfit. I like he's from Fodlan. This is great. I think I even know who he's potentially related to and all of that, but I'll leave that alone right now. We'll revisit that when it comes to a different time, but I'm loving what I'm seeing. And once again, in this combat clip, you see the amount of detail in the background, you see the amount of characters on the screen and kind of what they're doing. A huge fidelity bump from what we've seen. I wouldn't be surprised if this game was in development for a very long time at this point, because I'm pretty sure Koei Tecmo, it looks like it's still the Warriors engine, and it looks like it's Koei Tecmo's work along with Intelligent Systems. But yeah, I'm super excited to see more about this. Now for the final character, we got to talk about this because this might be the character that a lot of people pick first, and that is Kai. He is a cheerful, earnest, and family-loving boy who lives in the tranquil Riberia village. He was living peacefully with his childhood friends, but on his 15th birthday, the cogs of fate began to turn, and he likes moving around and catching animals. And the thing about this guy is he has that power that emanates from his hand, as you can see. Maybe when his friends are in danger, you see the cutscene with them doing that. And the cool thing, it definitely seems, once again, like there's some certain ties to some certain characters in past Fire Emblem lore, based off of the power that he has emanating out of his hand, in addition to just his looks. But once again, we'll revisit all of that in a different video when we get closer to launch and all that. But yes, this is looking great. We've got another combat clip with him. During combat, Kai can ride a flying Ornis, leaping over obstacles as he moves. He can freely ride across the battlefield, piercing foes with his trusty lance. And yeah, a lot of the characters, when it comes to this, is like a new animal or like a new class with this one here. A lot of the characters that ride like horseback or ride like the flying horses and stuff like that, they're pretty good in the game. So I mean, he might be one of the better ones. Maybe they substitute maybe power a little bit with what he can do here with his mobility, but he does have a pretty strong like hyper beam thing that he can do that they showed off in the trailer. So I'm loving so far these different characters. I think I've settled on either Leda or Kai first. I'm not sure who I want to use. I'm thinking I'm gonna go with Kai. I'm thinking I'm also gonna play this game multiple times. This might be a no-lifer game. When I'm not editing, which is, I edit a lot, but when I'm not editing, I might be just playing this game. When I'm not tending to my family and editing, I might just be playing Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave. There's just so many incredible games coming out this year. I'm just super excited for so much different stuff. But Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave, we got to talk a little bit more about this game because like I said, it is looking incredible here. I like what they've done when it comes to the style of it. It looks like, yes, Fire Emblem Three Houses, but they've refined the art even further more. And the character models, like I've stated before, man, they are beautiful at this point. Now, it looks better than when we first saw it last year. And of course, as new builds come out, as stuff kind of goes on, things get better. That's a staple for pretty much most games, but definitely Nintendo games. If you go back and look at the first trailers, then compare them to more of the newer builds or final product, it looks so much better. And this is no exception here when it comes to Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave. Definitely looks better than when we last saw it. Now, of course, some of the environments not quite as detailed. There's some kind of like lower res textures here and there that I'm noticing. But once again, if you compare that to Fire Emblem Three Houses and Fire Emblem Engage, huge upgrade when it comes to that. And the biggest thing for me is the performance so far, because that's been one of the problems with Fire Emblem games in the past. There's been a little bit of performance issues, long loading time, because that's been one of the big issues with Fire Emblem is the performance of the game. And it's a turn-based RPG, so it hasn't been hit as hard as maybe like an action RPG, like when Xenoblade Chronicles 2 came out and there was issues performance-wise there. But it's nice to see that you're not going to have that stutter every time that you zoom in for the combat, or you're going to have faster loading times because of the type of game that it is. Obviously, with the express memory, if you're downloading it digitally and also on cartridge, it's probably going to be faster than what was happening with the Nintendo Switch 1. I know for me, this is the type of game that I just got to have on anywhere that I want as fast as I want. So I'm definitely going to have a digital copy of the game, and then I'm picking up a physical special edition. I've got that ordered from Amazon. That special edition is looking really nice, that Dagdan special edition. So I like what they're doing there. But yes, combat, gameplay wise, graphics wise, and music wise, everything is looking really nice and sounding really nice. I love the remix of some of the classic tracks. From Leda's. I mean, this is going to be really good. I'm really excited for this one. But people talk about this, and I'll probably discuss this multiple different times, just because people discuss, okay, well, how popular is Fire Emblem? Kind of like what's going on with this game. So for those who don't know, Fire Emblem Three Houses actually sold around 5 million units on the Nintendo Switch 1. It was a breakout success, and they sold nearly 3 million units plus very quickly. So they were able to recoup all of the development costs in addition to making even more money on this game. And I think that this game was highly profitable. And the reason why I say that is because not only did it have a special edition with Fire Emblem Three Houses, but it also had like a season pass that didn't come in the special edition from what I understand. I didn't open it, but correct me if I'm wrong in the chat. But either way, people who didn't buy the special edition, like there was a season pass that a lot of people bought. So I do think that they made quite a bit on that from the expansion, from the special edition, and of course from the game itself. And there were sales here and there with this game. There were physical copies being sold for a very long time that were underneath MSRP. So between the digital sales, between the expansion, between the special edition, I think this game did quite well. And before we stopped getting those certain numbers that would come out at the very end of the year when Nintendo would update them, they kind of got rid of that, or whoever was running that with the Japanese sales would do that. They stopped kind of doing that for the last number of years, but we did see that Fire Emblem Three Houses was well over 4 million units at that point. So I definitely think that the game is around 5 million units or even above it now, because that was years ago that we got that update. So definitely good to see. Very excited to see Fire Emblem come back in this type of way. There is the looming whole $80 physical thing, and yes, that is a thing. I think that could hamper some physical sales, but I do think with the digital being 70, that does open it up for a normal type when it comes to it. I did have people kind of reach out to me and say, OJ, what about this 80 thing? What's going on there? And I don't ever want to say, oh man, games should be more expensive or anything, but there is that digital option. And if there is a game to have digital, like if you wanted to have a game digital, this is the game, considering how long it is and how many routes there are, and just being able to access it very quickly when it comes to it. You might want to come back to it after you take a break or something like that, or you might just want to play it quite a bit. It'll probably load faster as well, because the memory on the Nintendo Switch 2 itself is faster than a cartridge. So there is that digital option. And I want to make sure that you guys all know that if you pre-order the game at Walmart or at Amazon, they are matching the digital price for this game. So the digital price is $70 officially, MSRP from Nintendo, and it's $80 physical from Nintendo. But if you pre-order it beforehand, you can get that digital price at Amazon or Walmart. And I've heard that Best Buy does price match. So even if you like Best Buy, you might be able to go in there and get a price match beforehand too. But I recommend Amazon, I recommend Walmart. Both of those will have the game for the $70 price match. So if you want to get it cheaper, you can do that. There's also still special editions available on Amazon from when I last checked. So if you want to get a special edition, you can. From what I understand, the Fire Emblem Three Houses special editions are going above what they went before. So it might also be a good investment to grab one of those or two if you can get it, considering Fire Emblem Three Houses special edition did go up in value too. So I'm excited, man. I'm looking forward to this. I'm going to have a lot more Fire Emblem Fortunes Weave coverage for you guys as the official account puts up more stuff. And let me know what character you're looking forward to the most playing in the comment section. All right, peeps, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch 2 RPG content and more right here on screen. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.